Court Reporter with Stovall and Associates.
Hello and welcome back to Court Reporter. I'm Michael Selbach and I'm here with Sheila Winn, running for clerk, Nye County Clerk. And during the break we were talking and I just learned something that I just found very fascinating. You guys are in charge of the evidence.
Yeah, actually, when somebody finally comes to trial, any evidence that is presented at that trial, the clerk's office becomes the keeper of that evidence. We are responsible to make sure that it maintains its chain of custody, that it's presented in the proper manner at the time of the trial, so it's marked appropriately and used for whether the prosecution or the defense.
That is a big responsibility.
It is huge. It makes for the court clerk to be, we could actually cause a mistrial if we have an issue with the evidence. If something's not admitted and it's just presented, at the time that the jury retires, the stuff that was presented but not admitted cannot be seen by the jury in the jury room. So if that clerk makes an error and allows this piece of evidence to go back with the jury, it actually causes a mistrial at the end of that trial, and we've spent all that time and money on nothing.
Wow.
So it's a lot.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot. And you got evidence as far as money, drugs, guns, the whole bit?
The whole bit, right down to bodily fluids. If it's used for a blood alcohol test or if it's used for a drug test, we have urine, we have blood, we have baseball bats, you name it. Whatever it is that's been used in that trial, we have.
Wow, that's definitely something I would never thought that the clerk's office does.
A lot of people don't know that we do.
Yeah, that's definitely shocking to me. I would have thought that would all been done through the sheriff's department over there.
It starts there.
Starts there, but
Yep.
it ends up getting under lock and key with you guys.
Absolutely, and then we have to hold it until all appellate rights have expired. We can't release any of that evidence even after somebody has been convicted. We have to hold it for a time period so that if they are granted an appellate review by the Supreme Court and granted a new trial, we have that evidence still intact for the next trial that's ordered.
Oh, wow.
So we have it for a very long time.
So for people out there that may have belongings of theirs that were stolen or whatever, and how do they know when it's time for them to go get their stuff?
Well, if they've seen that the conviction has gone through and they've seen the sentencing, then they can have a pretty good idea that when that sentencing has gone past its initial review, which is the first 3 years, okay, after that you can pretty much guess that you could make a request to get those documents or guns or whatnot
or whatever it is
returned.
Boy, that's interesting. People think clerk and they think, oh, just a paper pusher, basically.
That's exactly right.
But there's so much more. You do the restraining orders, don't you?
We do temporary protection orders when it involves family members. It can get very, very volatile. Many times it's a battered woman trying to get away with her children, or vice versa now.
Right.
I mean, it's actually become more common that men are doing it as well. So these people come in and they're oftentimes very angry, very hurt, very emotional. And that's when I always told everybody I worked with, that's when our psychology degree that we don't have has to kick in. Because we have to be able to deal with these people and at least allow them to calm themselves, get what they need out, and see how we can benefit them in their situation.
Now, I imagine that you guys, somebody comes in for a restraining order and they go through the process, they get it, which is, like you said, they're upset, stressful enough. But I imagine sometimes you get the person that's restrained or has the order against them come in too.
Absolutely.
And I bet they can get kind of nasty, can they not?
They can get very angry and, again, very volatile. You know, our best defense in the clerk's office over the last 10 years has been kill them with kindness. Let them yell, let them get it out of their system, and ultimately they'll get to what they want. And we can always direct you. We just can't give you legal advice.
Right.
So.
And why are you running for this position again?
That's a good question. Honestly, I love the law.
Yeah.
And I love the people. I miss working with all of my local people here especially. And after 10 years of seeing some pretty often seeing the same people over again and not being able to see them anymore, I miss that a lot. But I think I could excel at this position with my legal background.
With your background, it definitely seems like you could.
So I think I could do a good job given the opportunity.
Absolutely. You said you can walk them through the process, but you can't give them legal advice.
Correct.
So that's when they need to call Stovall and Associates.
Absolutely. That's when they would call Stovall and Associates.
Absolutely. That's 775-727-4400, or there's my personal cell phone, 513-2038. Sorry, I had to put a little plug in there.
No problem.
Perfect opportunity. On a lighter note, some of the things, well, actually, before we get to a lighter note, on my notes here, you also have to give the verdict, don't you?
Yeah, during the trial, everybody remembers the infamous Daniel Robbins trial, I'm sure. That was probably the most profound one I've done. There was a lot of animosity, a lot of anger, a lot of high emotional people in that position. And I had to read that verdict, and it was straight across the board guilty. And I can honestly tell you that was one of the most stressful moments I've ever dealt with in the clerk's office.
I bet it was. And not that, I mean, you're just the one reading the verdict. You're not the one that making the decision. The jury's for that. But I imagine that the people that are guilty are kind of looking at you like,
yes.
How dare you?
Yes,
you know?
they are. They're looking at you like, are you really reading that? You know,
Right.
And on the inside, regardless if they're a criminal or not, they're still a human being. And as you read it, you still have that compassion and empathy for the person.
I don't think I want your job. I really don't. But on a lighter note, you do marriage license as well, correct?
Correct. We do issue marriage license.
And do they have to get everything done by the priest and then take it to you, or do they take it to you first? How's that work?
You're going to come to our office first for the marriage license. You're going to go in with picture ID, showing that your name and your address on it. You're going to come in and you're going to give them basic information, family background, mother's maiden name, that type of thing. Mostly information that you know off the top of your head.
So, all in all, there is a ton that the Nye County Clerk does. I mean, it's a lot.
Yes, there is.
And unfortunately, we are out of time already, but I want to say, wow. I have a whole new look at what you do.
Well, thank you.
I wish you the best of luck, and hopefully you'll get the position. And we'll see you guys next week here on Court Reporter.
Court Reporter with Stovall and Associates.